The ancient city of Neandreia, also known as Neandros or Neandros, lies just 20 kilometers from Ezine, near the village of Kayajuk, on the peak of Mount Chura, which rises to around 500 meters above sea level. The name Neandreia means young man, or homeland of the young man in ancient Greek. The site is not particularly well signposted, and it's not easy to reach, which is surprising given that it appears to be of major archaeological importance. Perhaps the most surprising aspect of Neandreia is its sheer size. It would have been a very large city. At first glance, the remains may not look especially impressive, but a good walk around will change your mind. Visitors need to park their vehicles on the main road and be prepared for a fairly long walk. The city walls stretch for around 3 kilometers, and the first reward for your climb is the spectacular view from the mountaintop. From here, it's clear why the site was chosen strategically. It was far easier to defend than the flat coastal plain below. Neandreia began as a Greek colony around 700 BC. In 399 BC it became part of the Persian Empire, but by 310 BC it had been largely abandoned. Evidence suggests its inhabitants may have moved to Alexandria Troas, a new settlement on the coast. Over the centuries, the lands around Neandreia were traversed by Alexander the Great and his armies, as well as by Persians and Romans. The city would have been ruled by various powers during its history, but its exact chronology remains uncertain. In its heyday, Neandreia was prosperous enough to mint its own bronze and silver coins, examples of which have been found on the site. The first archaeological excavations were carried out in 1865 by Frank Calvert, the British archaeologist who introduced Heinrich Schliemann to Troy. Calvert owned a fine house and gardens in Çanakkale. In 1899, German architect and archaeologist Robert Johann Koldewey spent one season at Neandreia and published his findings. He believed that further excavations would be rewarding, but unfortunately little has been done since. The site has continued to weather under the elements for 2.5 millennia. Like many ancient sites in the region, Neandreia was pillaged for building stone, much of which was reused in mosques and important projects in Istanbul. Its remote mountainside location, however, has been its saving grace. The defensive walls measure roughly 1,400 metres by 450 metres, enclosing almost the entire plateau. The most important discovery here was the ruins of an Apollo temple, thought to have been built in the 6th or 7th century BC. This is the oldest known example of a Greek temple in Asia Minor, and columns from it can now be seen in the Istanbul archaeology museums. There are also historical mentions of an agora, a stadium and a theatre at Neandreia, but nothing of this can be seen today. The whole area within the city walls, about 40 hectares, is now an empty plateau, scattered with rocks and masonry fragments. What lies beneath awaits discovery. Even the few excavated areas have been recovered with soil and left to the wind. Perhaps one day, historians and archaeologists will once again turn their attention to this remarkable site. Until then, it will sit quietly under the sun, keeping its secrets.